Sahagana lalita shivishakandikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschatpadesha Sharane Vancha Kalpatarvyasya Kripasindhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hey Krishna Karma Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Charanarottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudibhaye Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamaśloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtiti Grantarahat Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai Shri Nrsimhadeva ki jai. So, good morning, everyone. It's not as bright and sunny a morning, but it's still a good morning, no? Why is it? What's so good about it? It's the first day of the rest of our life. Very good. Yes. Don't be afraid if you want to come closer to the speaker. You're welcome. I generally don't bite. Only chapatis and sabji. Yeah. Okay, so somewhat in continuation of yesterday's theme of, well, the glories of Nrsimhadev, the glories of Prahlada in particular. I thought to read this verse from 11th Canto Bhagavatam, chapter 14, verse 15, and the purport is also interesting in relation to Madhvacharya. I'm told today is Madhvacharya's appearance. Is that right, today? Yes, no, maybe. If it isn't, I had a history teacher in high school. He used to joke. He would say, this such and such happened in, and he would give a date, 1848. He was a history teacher. This happened in 1848. And then he would say, well, if it didn't happen in 1848, it should have. Anyway, if it's not Madhvacharya's appearance day, it should be. Okay, also I thought to read a bit more from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam on Prahlada Maharaj. We'll see how that goes. So let's start with this verse. I believe it starts out, na tata, is that right?
Yes.
Good. Na tata me priyatama.
Na tata me priyatama.
Na tata me priyatama.
Na tata me priyatama.
Atma yonir na shankara.
Atma yonir na shankara.
Atma yonir na shankara.
Atma yonir na shankara.
Nacha sankarshano na shrir.
Nacha sankarshano na shrir.
Nacha sankarshano na shrir.
Nacha sankarshano na shrir.
Naivatma cha yata bhavan.
Naivatma cha yata bhavan.
Naivatma cha yata bhavan.
Naivatma cha yata bhavan.
Natata me priyatama.
Natata me priyatama.
Actually, it's priyatama, not priyatama. Natata me priyatama.
Natata me priyatama.
We're still chanting priyatama. Okay. Atma yonir shankara.
Atma yonir shankara.
Nacha sankarshano na shrir.
Nacha sankarshano na shrir.
Naivatma cha yata bhavan.
Naivatma cha yata bhavan.
Others?
Natata me priyatama. Atma yonir shankara. Nacha sankarshano na shrir. Naivatma cha yata bhavan.
Natata me priyatama.
Natata me priyatama.
Atma yonir na shankara.
Atma yonir shankara.
Nacha sankarshano na shrir.
Nacha sankarshano na shrir.
Naivatma cha yata bhavan.
Naivatma cha yata bhavan. Natata me priyatama. Atma yonir shankara. Nacha sankarshano na shrir. Naivatma cha yata bhavan.
Natata me priyatama.
Natata me priyatama.
Atma yonir shankara.
Atma yonir shankara.
Sankarshano na shrir.
Nacha sankarshano na shrir.
Naivatma cha yata bhavan.
Naivatma cha yata bhavan. Sankarsano Nashir,
Naivatma Chaya Tavavan,
Naivatma Chayata Bhavan,
Natatame Priyatama,
Natatame Priyatama,
Atmayonena Shankara,
Atmayonena Shankara,
Nacha Sankarsano Nashir,
Nacha Sankarsano Nashir,
Naivatma Chayata Bhavan,
Naivatma Chayata Bhavan.
Very good. We got, I think, 5 times or 6. We're close to 10. So now it's almost memorized. Okay, now, without looking at your devices or books, turn off your device now for a moment. Let's look at the verse before we go to the translation. Okay, starting, we can say who is speaking. This is Lord Krishna speaking, and he's speaking to Uddhava. And he's saying something quite simple, straightforward, we can say. So I'm going to ask you if you can kind of recognize some of these words in the verse. Okay? Let's start with Priyatama. So maybe you know the word Priya?
Dear.
Dear. So what could Priyatama mean?
Dear.
Dearest. Very good. There's Priya, there's Priyatara, which would be more dear, and then Priyatama is most dear. Okay, so we might already be able to get some idea of what Krishna is saying here. And notice it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times the word na. What does na mean? Not. So there's probably going to be a process of elimination here. Not this, not that, not him, not her. Okay? So one of the persons who is not most dear, Priyatama, is Atmayoni. Who could Atmayoni be? Self-born. Very good. And who might that be?
Brahma.
Brahma. Exactly. Wow, you're very awake this morning. It's good. Especially considering after a festival. Usually, day after festival, everyone is kind of only 20% present. And this is easy. Shankara, Lord Shiva, of course. Nacha Sankarshana, who is Sankarshana? Okay, we could say it's Balaram, or we could say Sankarshana. Right? And Shri, goddess of fortune, yes. Actually, in the early Vedic literature proper, the name Shri is there. You don't find the name Lakshmi until later literature, Puranic literature, Mahabharata. Okay, and then we have what's this Naiva?
Certainly not.
Very good, yes, it's actually Na Eva, right? It's Sandhi merged together. Na Eva Atma. Atma, we know this word. Self, yes. Actually, the original meaning of Atma is simply oneself. So it's like we say in English, myself. It's the reflexive. So here, Krishna is indeed saying, myself, not myself. And then we have two words here which are often in the same verse, namely tata and yata. They're usually in the opposite order. Usually there's yata and then tata. But in this case, okay, so it's a relative correlative. And here it's indicating sort of something like likeness, like this, like that. Okay, so what do we have? And finally we have the last word, bhavan. What is bhavan? You. Yes. And it's interesting to me, though, that he's using the formal you. He's not saying tvam, he's saying bhavan. One possible reason for that is in order to get enough syllables. You need to have 8 syllables in a line of this form of the verse, the shloka form, anushtup. Okay, so we have na tata me priyatama atma yonir. So the na at the very beginning can refer to atma yoni. One of the features of Sanskrit is that it the word order is not very important generally. You can have, you can't do that in English. In English you have to get the word order right or you can be in trouble. Okay. What else can we say about this? Okay. Enough Sanskrit details for this morning, right? Before you all get up and leave. Translation. This is the 11th canto, so Srila Prabhupada translated up through Canto 10, verse 13, chapter 13, and then the remainder has been translated by his disciples, in particular the late Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu and Hridayananda Das Goswami. And I think the commentary, the purport, is mainly written by Hridayananda Goswami, but after reading commentaries, and he had help, especially from Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu, translating some of the commentaries. So, all right. Translation. My dear Uddhava, neither Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Sankarshan, the goddess of fortune, nor indeed my own self are as dear to me as you are. Who is he speaking to? To Uddhava, yeah. Okay. So, that's quite a strong statement. Okay, purport. The Lord has described in the previous verses the unalloyed love of his pure devotees for him. And now, the Lord describes his love for his devotees. Atma Yoni means Lord Brahma, who is born directly from the Lord's body. Lord Shiva always gives great pleasure to Lord Krishna by his constant meditation upon him. And Sankarshana, or Balarama, is the Lord's brother in Krishna Lila. The goddess of fortune is the Lord's wife. And the word Atma here indicates the Lord's own self as the deity. None of these personalities, even the Lord's own self, are as dear to him as his pure devotee Uddhava, an akinchana devotee of the Lord. Akinchana. What means Akinchana?
One who doesn't possess anything.
Yes, one who possesses nix. And how is that to be? Why does it mean that? I've explained this a few times. It's made up of a, kim, and chana. So kim is a question word, and it's asking the question, what? Generally. And the indefinite answer to the question, what? Could be what? In English, what would you say? If I say, what is this? What is this? And you're going to give a totally unspecific answer, but you're going to give an answer. What could? Something. Yeah. So kinchana means something. When you have this chana ending, then it's something. And the in the front makes it it can make it negated. It doesn't necessarily make it totally negated. There are degrees of negation, you could say. But okay, an Akinchana devotee of the Lord, he's referring to Uddhava as Akinchana. Srila Madhvacharya cites from Vedic literature the example that a gentleman sometimes neglects his own interest and that of his children to give charity to a poor beggar. Similarly, the Lord gives preference to a helpless devotee who depends completely on his mercy. The only way to obtain the Lord's mercy is through his causeless love. And the Lord is most lovingly inclined toward those devotees who are most dependent on him, just as ordinary mothers and fathers worry more about their helpless children than about those who are self-sufficient. Thus, even if one lacks any material qualification, one should simply depend upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any other interest. And surely one will achieve the highest perfection of life. And so ends the purport, the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust purport to this verse. And, oh, my dear Uddhava, neither Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Sankarshan, the goddess of fortune, nor indeed myself, my own self, are as dear to me as you are, Uddhava. So that's quite something, isn't it? The lesson which our, we can say, current acharyas are highlighting in the purport is dependence, right? And what's the example?
Kitchen.
No, what's the example given here?
Oh, even here. To have nothing, be a kitchen.
A helpless child.
A helpless child.
Yes.
Yes. Parents, helpless child, right? The parent is more concerned about the helpless child than about the older child who can take care of him or herself. So here we are being identified as the helpless children. And Krishna is declaring that the helpless child, the devotee who sees him or herself as helpless, is most dear. Was Uddhava helpless? We might think about that. Uddhava was a very close friend of Krishna, so much so that Krishna would take advice from him, right? What was he taking advice from Uddhava about? Yes.
The situation of the gopis.
Krishna was taking advice from Uddhava about this. Was he? I don't know that he was taking advice from him about the gopis. He was sending Uddhava to the gopis. Yes, Sanjay.
I remember that there was, I don't remember how it was, but they were in Dwaraka.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, and one messenger came from 20,000 kings who were imprisoned by Jarasandha. And then Maharaj Yudhishthira also wanted to see Krishna. And Krishna, he asked Uddhava what to do.
Yes, there was a problem, right? What to do about Jarasandha. And what was Yudhishthira's interest? What did he want to do? Yes, he wanted to perform a Rajasuya sacrifice, but why would he not be able to do that unless something was done? What was needed to be done first?
To conquer Jarasandha.
To kill Jarasandha, yes. And he took advice from Uddhava specifically on this. Uddhava is a very exalted devotee. This is a major topic in itself, but we want to focus on Prahlad, and specifically Prahlad as teaching us dependence on the Lord. That's his particular lesson that he gives us, is our dependence on the Lord. We could go through an exercise of thinking about all sorts of things and persons and situations that we might feel dependent on in various ways. And we could then, by a process of elimination, recognize actually we cannot depend on these things and persons and situations, right? You can do this yourselves in your own free time. You can think about all the things that we depend on, starting from basic elements like air, for our next breath. We depend on so many things, but can we really depend on them? And of course, how much can we depend on our physical bodies? How much can we depend on our mental bodies? All of these things, of course, ultimately we cannot depend on. So Akinchana, this sense of possessing nothing is really based, we could say, on this recognition. I cannot depend on anything or anyone or any situation other than the Supreme Lord. So Uddhava has this qualification, but Prahlad in particular demonstrates. And Prahlad is celebrated very much in, of course, the Bhagavatam, but also in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, in the first part, where Narada, as I mentioned yesterday, Narada was advised by Lord Shiva. First, Lord Shiva was saying, no, you're looking for the one who has received the most mercy of the Lord. You've got the wrong person. And he gives so many reasons why not. He says, you should go to Vaikuntha. There you'll find qualified devotees who have received the mercy of the Lord. But then he kind of stops himself and says, actually, you should go see Prahlad. And then Narada takes his advice, and as we read also yesterday, I'll just reread this verse that we read, and then we can continue from there. He says, so Narada is now approaching Prahlada, and he says, while immersed in meditation on Krishna, you seemed to forget your existence. Imagine meditating on Krishna to that extent that you just totally forget yourself. We're always, who are we thinking about most 24 hours a day? Right. How do I look? How do I feel? What does such and such think about me? Etc. Like a madman, you danced and sang and called out loudly, your body trembling. There's this verse that Lord Chaitanya, not Lord Chaitanya, it's Ishvarapuri quotes from Bhagavatam, and it's a verse which I believe Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur says is the most important verse in the entire Bhagavatam. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
If I can remember. Evam vrata svapriya nama kirtya jatanurago druta chitta uchai hasatyato roditi rauti unmadavang nrityati lokabhaya. Rauti nritya, I missed some word. Hasatyata roditi rauti gayati unmadavang nrityati lokabhaya. So the idea is having this vow of chanting the name Evam Vrata, Svapriya Nama Kirtya, glorifying the Lord through His holy name. A person becomes transformed to such an extent that he or she may laugh, hasya, may cry, and dance. And lokambahya will be totally not thinking about external conditions, or will regard the world as only external, you could say like that. Okay, so like a madman, you, that is Prahlad, danced and sang and called out loudly, your body trembling. In this way you spread devotional service unto Lord Vishnu, delivering all the worlds from the cycle of material life and filling them with joy. Interesting. It's just Prahlad, it's one person. And what is he doing? He's, kind of maybe sitting there sometimes with his eyes closed, but sometimes he's dancing. And in any case, what is this? What is the result? He's delivering. How is he delivering the whole world by this? So within the commentary to this verse, we have the following quoted from Sri Hari Bhakti Sudodaya. What is the Sri Hari Bhakti Sudodaya? It's a portion of I forget. It's one of the Puranas. Narada Purana or Brahma Vaivarta Purana, one of these Puranas. It's a section, and it's especially celebrated by the Vaishnavas, and therefore they call it the Hari Bhakti Sudodaya. Do you want to hear what it says?
Yes.
Shrutvatyad bhutta vairagyat janas tasyojvala gira ashuni mumuchu kechit viksha ke api anamangschadam lilayanye parehasyad bhaktya kechana vismayat janastam sanghaso apashyan sarvatapi hataina saha. Upon hearing his brilliant words. So this is Prahlad's words. Upon hearing his brilliant words, some people felt an extraordinary sense of detachment from material life and began to shed tears just from hearing his brilliant words. Others who saw him responding by bowing down, others who saw him responded by bowing down to him. Others were amazed to see him playfully laugh and simply stood in groups watching him. All these persons were relieved of worldly contamination. Unquote. Prahlad delivered ordinary people not only by freeing them from unhappiness, but also by giving them the highest happiness of pure devotional service to Vishnu. It mentions Vishnu here perhaps because in the Vishnu Purana, Prahlad is described when the attempt is made, so many attempts are made on his life by the minions of Hiranyakashipu. And one of the attempts is to throw him off of a cliff into the ocean, to the rocks below in the ocean. And the particular place where it's understood that this happened is in India on the eastern side, in a place called Simhachalam. And in the Vishnu Purana, it gives several prayers which Prahlad was speaking, chanting, as he was sailing through the air, going down to the rocks below. And one of the prayers is, you know this prayer. Namo Brahmanya Devaya. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Jagatitaya Krishnaya. Govindaya Namo Namaha. So imagine now, you can picture Prahlad sailing through the air, off the cliff into the ocean, the rocks below, and he's chanting, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. I doubt very seriously that I would be able to chant such a mantra if I was thrown off that cliff. Well, of course, he didn't land on rocks, but rather the Lord appeared. And the Lord appeared in Simhachalam in India. They say that he appeared in the form of a combined form of Nrsimha and Varaha. And that form is the form of the deity that is there in Simhachalam. A form which you will only see one day a year. Why? Because the rest of the year he's completely covered in sandalwood paste, so thick that all you see is what looks like a Shiva linga, which is then wrapped in cloth. And apparently one day a year, I believe it's in the month of Vaishakha, in April, they have a big festival. And it's probably so many people coming to that festival that you will also not see the deity because of the crowds. I don't know, I haven't been there on that day. So anyway, Prahlad Maharaj worships Lord Vishnu. So shall we read a bit more from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam about Prahlad? Narada says, when Lord Krishna appeared on the shore of the ocean, he placed you on his lap and caressed you like a mother. Thus, he honored you, ignoring Brahma, Shiva, and the other demigods, offering prayers, and even ignoring the goddess Padma. So we can, with this verse, we can have this idea as we have darshan of our Sri Sri Prahlad Lakshmi Nrsimha, that the devas are all around and they're desperately trying to pacify the Lord, and the Lord is ignoring them. They're trying their best. They're really, they have so many nice prayers, and they're very expert in Sanskrit, no doubt, but he's ignoring them. Okay, in the commentary to this, we have another verse from the Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya. It says, Brahma then requested Prahlad to try to pacify the Lord after all the devas were unable. And here is the Lord's reaction. Tatakshitav eva nivishyanata kritva tam anke sva janaika bandhu shanair vidunvan karapallavena sprishan muhur matrivat alilinga. The Lord, who is friendly only to his devotees, then sat down on the ground and put Prahlad on his lap. Gently rocking back and forth, he patted Prahlad on his lotus head and embraced him repeatedly as a mother embraces her child. Matrivat, like a mother. Alilinga means repeatedly, means embracing. Muhur means again and again. Sprishan means touching. So nice. So I was saying yesterday, we can, actually it's appropriate to think of Nrsimhadev in this particular form with Prahlad on his lap, being like a mother embracing the child. Narada continues, Brahma, terrified, begged you to approach Sri Nrsimha. And when you fell at the Lord's divine lotus feet, the Lord stood up and raised you from the ground. He put his lotus hand upon your head and began to lick your entire body. And we have quoted here also one of, no, it's not one of his prayers. Let's see. Okay, it's confirmed in the Brihan Narasingha Purana, Lilihe tasya gatrani svapotasyeva keshari. Lord Nrsimha licked Prahlad's limbs as an ordinary lioness grooms her cub. Cub means baby lion. Narada continues, when Lord Hari, with most attractive and clever enticements, tried to offer you, Prahlad, the supreme abode, you showed no interest in liberation, which is prayed for by Brahma and by everyone else. Rather, you asked only devotion to the Lord, birth after birth. And that's described in the Bhagavatam. And we have a quote from Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya. So this is Nrsingadev. Let's see. Yes, this is Lord Nrsinga speaking to Prahlad in the Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya. My dear child, please give up this attitude of fearful respect that your reverence toward me has produced in you. I do not so much like this sentiment in my devotees. Instead, just feel free to express your love for me. When a devotee looks at me without hesitation and speaks to me affectionately, my pleasure grows with every new moment. So this is a hint for us about how we might pray to the Lord. We generally think, okay, when I pray to the Lord, I should be somehow a bit formal. And it's true, it is recommended to quote prayers. The prayers of Prahlad are a perfect example. Chapter 9 of Canto 7, many prayers of Prahlad are there, including his expression to Nrsingadev, Naivodvijay paraduratyaya vaitaranyastvad-virya gayana mahamrina makta chitta shoche tato vimakachet indriyartha maya sukhaya varam udvahato vimudhan. You know this verse, no? Yes, Akila Prabhu. What does it say?
Oh my Lord, I have no problems. I'm not afraid of this world. My only concern is for the fools and rascals who are endeavoring to gain material happiness. I'm only concerned with love for them.
Very good, thank you. Yes. Shoche tato, I'm only lamenting for these, as you said, Prabhupada translates, I think, like that, these fools and rascals. Prabhupada once said, fool means rascal. Mudha, vimudha. Yeah. So many nice prayers are there, but the point here is quite interesting. What do you think? Is it that Krishna prefers actually when we're informal in our offering prayer? We can speak with him. He says, instead, just feel free to express your love for me. When a devotee looks at me without hesitation and speaks to me affectionately, my pleasure grows with every new moment. Although I am eternally free from all limitations, such behavior binds me with ropes of love. Although I am unconquerable, my devotees can conquer me. And although I am subject to no one's control, I become their subordinate subject. I belong only to him who has shown his love for me by giving up all affection for family and possessions. Oh, now it gets serious. And such a devotee also belongs to me. Neither he nor I has any other true friend. My desires are always automatically fulfilled, but I take various births in this world just to bestow on my devotees the satisfaction of all their desires. So, please, tell me what you would like from me. So this is This is Nrsingadev pleading with Prahlad, please tell me, I want to give you something. And what is Prahlad going to answer? From the Bhagavatam, chapter 10. I just want your association. And he does have one specific request. Yes.
To be free from all material desires.
That is there, and he also has another specific.
For his father.
For his father, yes. He's absolutely not envious, even though his father was so nasty. He says, please deliver my father. Oh, he's already delivered, says Nrsingadev. Okay, so a nice lesson, I think, for us to remember today is Prahlad's lesson of complete dependence on him. Such dependence inspires the Lord to bestow His grace, His mercy upon us. Yes. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Any further thoughts, reflections, comments? Microphone.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful lecture. My question is, Prahlad Maharaj is the great Mahabhagavato Mahan, and he knew the scriptures even when in the womb of his mother. So he knew about this, that people get Sarupya Mukti when delivered by the hands of the Lord. So why did he feel the need to ask Nrsingadev if his father will be delivered or not?
Why did he feel the need to ask his father, to ask Nrsingadev to deliver his father, knowing that, oh, I understand. You're saying, being a Mahabhagavata, he would certainly know that. Perhaps in the moment, imagine yourself, you're there right in front of Nrsingadev. You might have all scriptural knowledge, and still you might feel kind of, whew, wow. Isn't it? You might be in a bit of, not disturbance, not shock in the case of Prahlad, but some sort of excitement. And in your excitement, you may, even though you know this, you may say, please deliver, deliver my father. I would put it like that, in his excitement. Yeah. I think we could all relate to that. Yeah. Yes, Sanjay.
One thought from the purport was that actually it seems that all of Krishna's associates, they must have this very dense experience of helplessness and dependence on Krishna. So they may look differently, but all of them, they fully depend on Krishna. Maybe you can tell more about that, how to say? I would say as a perspective to better understand the spiritual realm.
Yes, if we consider, of course, so many episodes in Krishna Lila as a child in Vrindavan. Whenever there's danger, what do the residents of Vrindavan do? They call out, Krishna, help, help, help. When Indra sends his Samvartaka clouds, and it looks like there's no hope, they call for Krishna. When the coward boy, when the forest fire is burning, what do? They call for Krishna. When the boys march into Agasura just to have some adventure, considering there could be some danger, they also think it's okay because Krishna will save us, and so on. Any other examples of this you want to remember? Of Krishna, of the residents of Vrindavan, depending on Krishna. Anyway, those, huh?
When Indra, Krishna, they asked, when Indra wanted to drown all the inhabitants.
I just mentioned that. Yeah.
The pastime of Aristasura, when he took a form of a bull and terrorizing Vrindavan.
Did the residents call for Krishna at that time?
His friends.
His friends, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, practically whenever anything happened, they would call for Krishna. So, yeah, they were feeling that dependence. And at the same time, they were not thinking he is the great and powerful Lord. Most of the time, not. Now and then it would be revealed, right? When Nanda Maharaj is pulled down to Varuna, and then the demigods are there, and Krishna, they see, everyone sees actually how Varuna is worshipping Krishna. They understand how great Krishna is. And then Nanda Maharaj appreciates how great Krishna is when he sees all the demigods and Varuna. And then Nanda Maharaj reports to the other, his friends, the cowherd, and they're all like, oh, wow, that's great, that's amazing. And then Krishna decides to kind of pull the clouds away, if there are any clouds, to show them, to reveal to them Goloka. And so for a short time they see Goloka, and they see Krishna in Goloka, and they're amazed. And for a short time they're thinking, wow, how amazing, Krishna, and we're all part of it. But then they forget. Because if they would keep remembering who is Krishna, then they couldn't play with him anymore. How are you going to play with Krishna? How are you going to steal Krishna's lunch if Krishna is God? You know. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for a very philosophical lecture in the morning. I was thinking about this dependence and in the end, like lesson for us from Prahlad Maharaj, complete dependence. Because in that example with the children, when you see when I see the children, they're crying, parents are immediately there helping. I mean, it's no problem for them, really, no issue. They're crying, but parents always solve the problem or whatever is there, and to put that dependence, that kind of relationship with the Lord. And I also remember I heard on one lecture that just because you exist, you are loved by Krishna. It's so beautiful, and we heard so many times how Krishna loves us, and we have realizations, and especially those kind of festivals shows us how we are dear to the Lord, but still we are so afraid, still we need to control, still we don't let it go. So is it really only anarthas and our offenses that we are proud to do, to trust, to depend on Krishna? What would be... Why we need why the process is so long?
Why indeed? I think there's also habit. Something I've I'm working on, so to say, in the back of my list of so many things planning. I gave a talk, a brief talk, a few weeks ago in Bulgaria, in the Vitaram retreat center. I gave a talk to the guests. These were not Hare Krishna devotees. They were people on a health retreat. Nice people, very nice people. And I was asked to give a talk. So I gave a talk. I gave the title, Habits of the Heart. It's a phrase which actually was used by a French intellectual in the 18th, 19th century, when he was writing about America. It's a very famous book called Democracy in America, and he was both admiring and concerned about. Anyway, it's another subject. And in that book, I think he speaks about habits of the heart, and I thought such a nice phrase. We can apply it to our culture. So we have so many habits, and we have habits of the mind. We have habits of the body, habits of the mind. We might say also habits of speech. And we might want to say spiritual life is a matter of changing habits, whereby one way to think about habits is they're like rivers. They go a certain course of the river over possibly thousands of years. They keep to the same course. The Ganges River, especially in the area of Navadvip, has changed course over the years, over the decades and centuries. And that's another subject. But the point is that we understand that it's possible to change habits and habits of our thinking, but we might want to say more deeply, habits of the heart is what we're about. But yeah, just recognizing we have these habits of assuming that we can depend on so many things, persons, situations, when actually we can't. Of course, we have to also go about ordinary life, and so we need to make some assumptions, otherwise we couldn't get out of bed in the morning. You know, it's called radical skepticism, that you cannot believe anything, you can't, anyway. So, but we're in a process, devotional service, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, raga anuga sadhana bhakti, is a process of changing our habits of the heart, I would put it that way, in brief. Yes, Ramanand.
Thank you, Maharaj. Just short question to this prayer of this Namo Brahmane Devaya, where we all quite familiar with it because we all need to eat as devotees. So we all know this prayer. But it's quite, I always use it as an example that Prahlad actually not worships Vishnu, but that he is in the end actually a Praj Bhakta, because in this prayer, I mean, it's an intense moment where he's falling. He really has to take shelter in this moment. And then he prays to Govinda, the Lord of the cows. So his meditation is then on
It's Krishna.
Vrindavan. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Krishna.
What is this about Vishnu? We'd have to look at the other prayers in that sequence, whether there's any. Yeah, yes, good point. I would just say that Vishnu is a kind of broad category. Hari is another kind of generic name for the Lord. Vishnu is a kind of generic name and inclusive. But you're right, it's in that verse, Govinda, he specifies, which is very sweet.
And also because Mahaprabhu, he uses this prayer when he's in front of the Jagannath cart, what is pulling to Vrindavan. This is what in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, nice, thank you. Yes, yeah.
Very much. I wanted to just to understand better. Maybe I missed out when you were saying that Prahlad chanted this prayer while he was falling off the cliff. So the form of the Lord was. Did you say only in that particular situation was like half Nrsimha, half Varaha?
That's my understanding. We'd have to.
Or is it in general? Or is it in general? Or just in this?
As I understand that particular occasion of Krishna protecting, of Vishnu protecting, he appeared. That's the understand. I don't know that it's specified like that in the Vishnu Purana. But I know from once visiting Simhachalam, that's what, maybe it was one of the priests told me that.
Huh.
But I thought that makes sense. It makes sense that he appears in that form. As Nrsimha, anticipating how he's going to appear later, but as Varaha, because Varaha goes into the ocean and brings up the earth. Yeah.
Thank you.
Subha. Maybe this is our last.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Gurudev. Yeah, thank you for a nice class. Just regarding this prayer of Prahlad Maharaj, because I was also interested in it, I looked up those verses from the Vishnu Purana beforehand and afterwards. At least some amount. And yeah, for sure, it seems like Prahlad Maharaj is worshipping Krishna in that prayer. For sure it could be. Just the verses afterwards and before, they're quite clearly stating names of Vishnu, like Vishvaksena and different names like this. So yeah, I was a little bit wondering about that, but just to mention.
Krishna, Vishnu, Vishnu, Krishna. Srila Prabhupada sometimes would say we have no argument with those who say that Vishnu is the primordial, original form of the Lord. So we have no argument. If they want to understand that way, that's fine. I once saw a diagram which I thought is helpful to understand. Sometimes diagrams are interesting. So Krishna on the top, from Krishna is coming Vishnu, and then Vishnu expands in so many ways, and then from Vishnu is coming Krishna again. So he's coming through Vishnu, so to say. But Srila Prabhupada also would say sometimes the devotees don't even really care so much whether or not Krishna is God. They just love Krishna. Maybe he's God. Okay, maybe he's not God. Doesn't matter. Yes.
Shrutakirti Prabhu, in his book, he writes, I think, that the devotees were reading a Krishna book to Prabhupada in Los Angeles, I think, and then Prabhupada said something similar, said, we don't care, or if even Krishna, if he's not God, we don't care because Krishna is so nice.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to thank you all very much. Especially I want to thank the Simhachalam Vasis. You are keeping, caring for Nrsingadev and caring for each other and caring for this mesocosm, the temple. This is very, very wonderful. Thank you so much. And I want to suggest read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It's very sweet. It's the boiled down essence of the Bhagavatam according to Sanatana Goswami. Okay. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
Krishna Kshetra Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Can I request the help of two strong boys for a second, just to bring the seats outside from the ceremony? The two seats outside they have to bring in the barn, on top of the barn. Under the roof, of course.